Hi, my name is Mr. Bradley, and I'm going to be talking to you about the physical education pathway choice. So, in phase two, if you look to pick sport, you will first begin a project. Every single student that picks sport will take part in this. This is one lesson of theory and one lesson of practical. Alongside this, you'll also do 2 hours of compulsory sport. That is, whether you pick sport or not, you'll still continue to do 2 hours of sport. This is a non-examination part of the course, and it's compulsory. So every single student in year 9 will still do their 2 hours of PE. This will continue to do things like netball, basketball, football, and you'll follow the normal curriculum. Then, when you move on to phase 3, if you have picked sport, you'll then do either GCSE PE or sports studies. And as a PE department, we will make that choice for you. That will be based upon your science predicted grade and your English predicted grade, along with your practical ability. Okay, and I'll explain more about that in a second. And then in phase 3, the way that lessons are structured, it will be 2 lessons of theory and 1 lesson of practical. Okay. So, for phase 2 and the leadership project, the last year students have looked to work on leading a multi-sports festival to primary school students. If this is the project that we look to lead this year, it covers a far wider range of skills that fall beyond PE and sport, and also different skills that you need outside of the PE classroom. So things like presenting in front of an audience, talking in front of people, organisation skills. As you can see there, there's teamwork skills. So we do go out on a trip to do a team building. Things that are more PE appropriate will be creating sessions that are fun, age appropriate, engaging, and leading sessions to your peers and external students. Learning about warm-ups and cool-downs, and obviously you'll develop leadership qualities and different leadership styles. Once the leadership project is over, as I said, as a PE department, we will look to decide whether you go on to GCSE or OCR sports studies. So, OCR sports studies. This is split up into 4 different modules with different learning outcomes. You'll look at contemporary issues in sport. So these are things that are based around national government bodies, media and sport, different topics like that. And this is an exam that you'll do, an external exam. You'll also look at developing sports skills. This is a more practical piece of work that you'll do, where you'll be assessed in 2 different sports, an individual sport and a team sport. And then there will be also a write-up for you to analyse how proficient you are at these different sports, talking about strengths and weaknesses. Sports leadership, which links in really well with the project that you would have just done. But here you'll be designing and leading a session plan and then looking to try and evaluate it afterwards. Finally, you'll look at working in the sports industry, and this will be looking at different careers and different jobs that you can get in sport. So overall, there's 1 exam, 3 internally assessed pieces of coursework, and 2 sports which are assessed practically. So with these, with the grading criteria for these, it's pass, merit, distinction, and that is level 1 and level 2. So for this course, it is more coursework based, and it is less of a scientific background to this course. Okay, so there's less biology, and you'll see in the GCSE PE course in a second where there is a more scientific element to it. So OCR GCSE PE. So with this course, there are 2 exams. One is based on physical factors affecting performance. So here you'll look at the anatomy and physiology side of things in PE, and you'll you'll also look at different types of training methods. For socio-cultural issues in sport, the second exam, this is more based upon participation in sport, looking at healthy lifestyles, and also the psychology element. So how does the mind work and how is the mind affected when playing sport? The third component to GCSE PE is performance in physical education. So here you'll look at a coursework element where you'll look at analysing and evaluating your own performance and designing a training program to look to try and develop your own performance in a sport of your choosing. And then you'll also be assessed in 3 sports practically. So they will be either, you can choose between either an individual sport and a team sport, and then the third sport can be one of either. So there needs to be, there's a need for you to be proficient across at least 3 different sports. So overall, you'll do 2 exams for GCSE PE, 1 internally assessed piece of coursework. You'll get assessed in 3 sports practically, and the grading for this is 9-1. Now, my final point before I leave you is that if you do choose sport as an option for year 9, you must realise that sport changes. What doesn't happen is you don't come down and you just do badminton or football for 6 weeks, okay? That's not how the course is run. That is your core PE lessons, which you'll still do 2 hours of in year 9. If you pick sport, this means that you're passionate about the subject and you're willing to learn the theoretical elements to that, okay? There are times where you might come down and you might focus on particular parts of badminton, but that will be focused upon the criteria that you need to meet as part of the course, and there will be clear guidelines on how we do that. So generally speaking, you'll do about 2/3 theory to 1 part practical, okay? And I want to make that really, really clear so that you know what choices you are looking to try and make. If you would like to discuss any of these points that I've raised, please feel free to come and talk to me. Parents, you guys can email me. My email address is w.bradley@kscs.org.uk. Hopefully I'll be discussing this with you guys during Parents' Evening as well, but if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much for listening.